Hey team, we are back, and today I'm taking on the final challenge in this initial learning path. My tongue flipped over on me, which is getting started. Okay, so in previous videos we looked at the QR code, we looked at the blog, the social links, and now today we are going to take on the recipe page. So back to challenges, we can search for that recipe, spell it right, just like that. And we are here. Now, this is a full page, and we haven't quite done a full page before. I am actually going to do this in two separate videos because there is some fun stuff in here, okay? And it's just going to take a while. Taking good breaks is a good thing. I'll say that again later on, but it's okay to take good breaks once you've gone a fair distance through a piece of work. Okay. But for this recipe page, we have it. It is a full page. In the first video, we're going to look at the markup and the global styles that we need. Okay, some of the tokens, some of the general styles that we need, and then in the second video, we will pick it up with some of our blocks, some of our special code, and wrap it up with making it responsive. Because if you're looking at this, there is no border on the mobile styles. Okay, it goes right to the edge, as opposed to this one where it has a very nice border on it. Okay, so that's our plan. Today we are getting that markup and the styles in. Okay, we're going to download this, and if you are on a pro account, you can download the Figma file. I actually already have that open over here, so we'll be using that a bit. But for now, I am in my learning folder inside of the terminal. And I'm going to move that file. It was right here, get the autocomplete working, recipe.main.zip, and we're going to put it right here in this learning folder, okay? And then we are going to unzip it just like this so that we have all those files. We can CD into it. Excellent, okay? So now we are inside of there and we have everything, okay? No git though, so let's do that. So git init, git add dots, git commit -m. This is a chore task and it is initial commit, right? That's where we start every single time. So now we're in a good place. We can open this. Again, I'm on a Mac, so I have access to this very handy open command. I can open into Google Chrome, just like this, if I can spell it right. There it is. And index.html. A great big mess, but we're going to make it much, much better, okay? Which brings us to our final part. Let's bring it into code so that we can actually do the work, okay? We have access to lots of stuff, including the assets. There's actually only one image that we need to worry about here. So we'll be using that. If we wanted to, we could use the fonts locally. We'll just grab them from Google, like the other videos, okay? And then our comparison files right here for later on, okay? Or if you weren't able to download the Figma file, you'd probably be leaning on these pretty heavily, okay? With that, we are into our index file, okay? Lots of different stuff in here. It's kind of already sorted. If we save this, it's going to reformat everything. Please don't do that. At least maybe you're luckier than I am, but Prettier is having a day with this. So I'm going to Command Z that so that I can get here, okay? Which means that we're going to do a lot of stuff before we save this once, but stay with me. I deleted these styles because they aren't useful to us. And I'm going to add right at the outset our style file. Now we haven't created that, so let's go and do that really fast. Style.css, just so that we have it for later, okay? We're also going to use this style guide. Well, you're going to use it. I'm going to copy and paste a bunch of stuff. You'll see that in a second, okay? So there's that. Let's go and get rid of the attribution right here. Get rid of this. Again, I think this is useful. just not in this video, okay? So go type your name in here and make it useful to you, okay? That leaves us with all of this code. So working from top down, it is a whole page, which means that the main title of a page should be an H1. Now, leaning on our wrap with abbreviation, that's right here, okay? We're going to make that an H1. Perfect. This next one is just a paragraph. We can do that. So that's a P tag. And then we have our blocks, and there's a few of them. There's preparation time, there is index, there's instructions, and I think there's one down here for nutrition. And I've gone and used multiple cursors. If you want to do this one at a time, you absolutely can, but I'm going to wrap each of those with an H2, okay? Now, this first one is a little bit unique. If you go and look at the file, you're going to find that even though we made these both H2s, this is inside of this block, okay? And I'm going to create a special block for that later on. But right now we can start to add some styles to that. And the styles for that will be prep time. So we're going to call this whole block prep time. And this is the heading, okay? Right here, we have a list of items, right? That's 1, 2, 3, the bulleted list. It's an unordered list. So we can totally do that with our wrap, okay? We can set it as unordered list. We're going to give it a class of prep time, okay? Spell it right, like this. What did I call that? Prep time details. That's what I called it. And because, okay, so there's a thing here. Because we're going to get rid of the dots. We're going to change the dots, okay? And we're going to use a little bit of CSS to do that. Because we're doing that, we need to add a role of list, okay? So just like this, and that's going to ensure that when this is read inside of browsers like Safari, it still picks up on the fact that it should tell accessible technology that this is a list. Otherwise, Safari will just skip it. It'll read the text, but it won't actually say that this is a list. Okay? So that role of list becomes very important. Get used to just adding it to everything. If you're changing any of the bullets or the numbers later on, you want that role of list. Okay? We aren't actually done here. We're going to add in an LI. Now you'll notice that it only added one LI in here. We can add it to every line by adding a star behind our command here, which says go and add it to every line, which is really, really cool. The final thing is I'm going to add a paragraph. Paragraph doesn't really help us in here, but if you were coming from something like Markdown, Markdown wants to convert it so that there's usually a paragraph inside of your list items. So just get used to it, okay? It's very helpful. Now that I have that, I can go and select this this colon here, select them all, and then multiple cursors to grab all of this, which I'm going to wrap in strong, okay? And what that's going to do is if we look at this, it's bold text, and then the bit after is just regular. So we are setting up with really solid markup here, okay? This whole block, we can wrap it in an aside, okay? It's kind of its own little thing, so we're going to do that. And this is where our main class comes in, prep time, okay? Excellent. That part is done. We can keep going, moving down the page. We have another list. Let's go and do the exact same thing. So bringing up wrap. It is an unordered list. We're going to add in that role. This time we aren't adding a class. We don't really care about the classes outside of the blocks, okay? Outside of the unique structures. So we don't need that, but we do need that role of list. And then again, li to wrap it all up and a paragraph. Done, okay? All of this, we're going to wrap in a section. Whoops, jumping around. Don't do that. Inside of a section, okay? Again, we don't need a class, but we can use section here, okay? You could use a div if you really wanted to. If you're uncomfortable using section, or you've read elsewhere that section is potentially bad news, absolutely. For me, section makes sense because it is exactly that, and we do have a heading in here. Okay, most sections should start with some kind of a heading. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it is strongly, strongly encouraged if you're reading the documentation. So, section, that's our ingredients. We're going to do the exact same thing down here. Now, we have multiple lines, and the multiple lines are going to be tricky if we try to do that exact same operation on this. So right here, just to make sure that this works, we're going to back this out right here, making sure that there's a space in there, okay? Making it all a single line so that this doesn't cause us problems, okay? We don't need to get rid of any of the spaces. We can just go and grab this and start adding to it, okay? This one is instructions. It is an ordered list. So let's go and do that. Again, we need that roll of list because we're going to edit the bullets, right? We're going to change the numbers later on. But everything else is the same. So li star, p, excellent, okay? We go and grab the colons. So multiple cursors, just like this. This one, I want to jump all the way back to the beginning because there are different spaces in here, okay? So back all the way to the beginning and then get rid of that paragraph tag, wrap this in a strong, okay? Excellent. Same thing, we're going to grab the order list and the heading, bundle it up inside of section. Done, okay? We are starting to do the good stuff. Now, down here, we have our nutrition table. The hint is in this paragraph, okay? Table. That's exactly what we're going to do. So going fast, we're going to wrap this one in a paragraph, but all of these are some sort of table cell, okay? Multiple cursors on the first one, just like this. Whoops, we don't need a space. We select them all, and we wrap them in a TH. There's a small problem here. Before we hit enter, or if you've hit enter, backed out, come back again. But the TH, usually when you do this, TH by default is a single row along the top of the table. And it tells it what the content of that column is. But in this case, we're telling it what the content of that row is. And so what we should do is we should add a scope here equal to row. I don't know why I wanted to add quotes. You don't actually need the quotes. There we go. Okay, so we have that scope of row, which is going to make it work accessibility-wise. Okay, right there. We go and grab the other ones, multiple cursors. I don't know why I keep hitting the space bar. My thumb is just a little bit too fat today or something, but right there, this is just a TD, okay? At this point, we probably should do single lines, again, for the same reason up here. So multiple cursors, we're going to back that out to a single line so that everything just works. And then we grab all of this, and similar to the list, we're going to wrap it in a table. Now, this table is going to have its own class, okay? I don't think I use this later on, but just in case, maybe you want to style it a little bit different, so you could. But nutrition table, okay? Just like that. And inside of there is our TR, which wraps each individual line, okay? Again, grabbing all that from the heading to the bottom of the table, putting it inside of a section. Brilliant. The last thing that we need to do, okay? We could go and save this right now, take a look. It should look a little bit nicer. Absolutely does, but we aren't done yet, okay? We need to select all of this from the very first H1 all the way down, and we are going to wrap this up, okay? So we're going to wrap it in a main, and then inside of there is going to be our article, okay? Because even though it's the whole page, it's still a unique piece of syndicated content or content that you can share, Okay. So article is the right tag for this. Let's give that a name of recipe. And then inside of there, you can do a section of recipe content. Okay. Now, you are allowed to do a section inside of a section. So this is perfectly legal. But if you are feeling bad about that, again, you could put a div in here. It all kind of balances out. Okay. So I went and did div this time, but when I was practicing, I did section. It does not change anything. It does not hurt anything. Okay. It's totally your call. The last bit that we need to do before we wrap up the markup, actually there's two things. The first is to add our picture. Okay. So we have our picture. It is recipe image. And inside of there is our image tag, which is assets, images, image omelet.jpg. Okay. So if we go and look at this, this now looks like this. We have everything. We have some nice numbers here, some nice bullets. The last thing that we need is some HRs. And let me explain that for a second. So down here, surrounding the instructions, technically between each of these three pieces of content right here, ingredients, instructions, and nutrition, there is a horizontal rule, HR, horizontal rule, okay? We could use border, and you might think, I'm going to use border. The reason that I'm not using border is because of this. If I click in here and hover over this, each of these pink spaces here is 32 pixels. And if you use border, you would have to do padding and margin. But by using an HR, I only ever need to worry about margin. So when we introduce that flow control that I've been using in other videos, it's going to be very easy to get this spacing right on this without having to think about both padding and margin. So I'm going to use HR. Here we go. Right back in here, right around instructions, nutrition. So right here we have an HR, and I think it was above instructions, wasn't it? I'm forgetting things. There it is. Yeah, instructions. So go up to instructions between these two, HR. Excellent. When I save this, okay, you'll see this change. This doesn't mean anything. This is prettier being prettier. So if yours doesn't change to a backslash, a closing tag like this, don't worry, it will still work. For some reason, my prettier is just auto-configured to do that. It's kind of an annoyance because this doesn't do anything nowadays. In fact, I think Remy Sharp wrote a really good article on why this can actually muck you up if you aren't careful. So it's kind of funny that it's still doing it. For this one, if I try to delete it, it's just going to bring it back, which is annoying. So we're just going to leave it. Okay. Now, refreshing, we have everything that we need to get this done. Okay. We might need to, well, we will need to add classes later on, but for now, this is our markup, which means that we can go over here and commit it. Okay. Git add dot, git, probably should have checked the files. Yes, that's the ones that I need. So git commit -m. This is a feature for recipe page add markup. Okay. Excellent. Now we can get into some styles, and there are a bunch. Okay. We have all of these different colors, lots and lots of different colors. There is a bunch of typography. There are 2 fonts. There is a whole spacing thing. If you were able to pull down the actual Figma file, there is a wide variety of spacing in here, right? And then, of course, all the things that I've touched on in previous ones, like the border radiuses, okay? So lots of cool stuff in here. And I've gone ahead and done that right right here. Why wasn't it? I have the wrong thing open. There it is. Pasting. Okay. So here are our tokens. Okay. All of those different colors. Let's bring this over so we can compare. Okay. All those different colors are different text sizes, which came from the Figma file. Our two fonts, which we haven't actually gotten yet, but here they are. One is a serif, one is a sans serif, and all of our spacing. In fact, we're missing one, and it's weird that they don't declare this. So I'm going to go and do that now. It is space 950, which I believe is 72 pixels, and we can find that right here on the mobile. Okay, so if we go and hover over this and check, oh, it's 96. Okay, 96. If I had done the math right, I would know that. Okay, so that is our minimum left and right padding. Okay, our minimum left and right spacing on that. They didn't include that, so I'm going to border radiuses, max widths. It's all in here. It's all really, really good. At which point we can start using this. Okay. So lots and lots of good stuff right here, just like this. Okay. Moving on. We are going to go and get our font, which means I went and closed that style guide. I actually won it for a second, and I think I still have them in here. Get font. And then, of course, if we went to outfit, we could get the font, which doesn't really do anything for us, but doesn't do anything for me because I already had those loaded in. But if you don't, that's how you do it. Okay. So you want to be able to see both young serif and outfit, at which point we can get the embed codes. Double check this. There is only one weight for young serif, so that is what it is. And for outfit, there's only one style. It's all this, but we need multiple weights. We will need, where is it? 400, 600, and 700. So we need 3 of them, okay? Which means that we can't really be changing this either. Everything is kind of what it is. Copy that, bring it over. Way up here above our link, we paste that in, save it. Good. Maybe just add a pinch of space because I'm like that. And then our styles. So we have outfit, which is our main font. We're going to copy that one. Okay. Bring it down, paste it in, and change this to body. Okay. The weight, the default weight is 400. We're going to take care of font size in a second, but let's go get the other one. Young serif. I'm going to bring that in just like this. We are going to change this in a few seconds, but just so that we have it, okay? Let's go and change this a little bit. So right here, we're going to change this to font sans serif, and this one to -- font serif. Excellent, okay? Some other things that we need our really simple reset, okay? So we're going to do the star and set what is it? Box sizing, border box, right? And margin of 0 and padding of 0, just like this. Because we're going to change those bullets, we are going to use the before, right? And this, the star selector, doesn't pick up on before, so we actually have to do it in addition to. So here's before. Since we're here as a matter of practice, let's go and add after. Okay, those are our two pseudo elements. Okay, excellent. So there's our very basic reset. Again, not something that I would put into production. I would use something a little bit more robust. Okay, but for what we're doing today, it gets the job done. Okay, right here, we're going to start adding in some of our styles. So we have background color, just like this. That is stone 100, I think is what it is, if I remember. Okay. And then of course color, which is stone 600. Okay. And again, I'm pulling those from the Figma file. So we can go and select this and see that, sorry, the the paragraphs are stone 600. The backgrounds are stone 100. So we can quickly get into that. Okay. All of this other stuff kind of remains, but we do need our text sizing. So, sorry, font sizing, which is -- text 400. Sorry, not 400. Why did I say 400? Text size 4 is what we want. Okay, that's our base font size. The last thing that we need is line height. Okay, which is 1.5. Again, I pulled that out of the Figma file. So if we go here, design system, we scroll down, and we have our headings are all 100, but our base size is 150. Okay, and we don't use percentages. We don't use a measured approach. We just use a multiplier. Okay. Same thing for our heading. This is going to be H1 and H2, just like this. And our line height, just like this, is 1. Okay. Could we wrap this up in like an is or a where? Yeah, absolutely. Right. We could, but it's just targeting the tag, so it doesn't really help us. We're just going to keep going with that. And we should actually see some changes already. So let's go. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Here we go. Refresh. And all of a sudden, things are starting to take shape. Okay. We have some nice colors. The background is in there. We're going to keep adding to it. Let's go. Okay. So first off is that H1 by itself. Okay. That H1 has a color of -- stone 900. We saw that when I accidentally clicked on it and not the paragraph. And it's font size. Okay. Now the font size is weird for headings, for the H1. And what we have is we have two different things, and only for the H1, where we have a small size right here of 32 pixels and a large size of 40 pixels. And the H1 is the only place this happens. So everywhere else is just a fixed size. Very easy, very simple. Okay. Down here, we're going to set that up as a media query. And I'm going to declare this as min width 550. Why 550? Because I'm feeling it. Okay. There's no rhyme or reason to this. If you have a system where it has to be 768 or some mobile size, absolutely go and pick that. Today I'm using 550 because that's how I roll. Okay. So right here we have that text size 1. Excellent. That takes care of it. Could I have used utopia.fyi or something like that? Yes, I could have. Okay. Today I'm using media queries because I don't think that they're the end of the world. So for simple bits, tossing a media query in usually gets the job done. So moving on, we have the H2, okay, right here. And we're going to do a similar thing where the color is brown, I believe. It's weird that it wasn't showing up. My little overlay thing was kind of playing havoc with that, but it is brown. And of course our font size, which is -- text size 2. Okay, that's all we need for that. Moving down more, picture, image, just like previous videos, we are going to display block that to make it a little bit better, and our max width of 100%, just so that it never blows past the edge of the browser unless we specifically tell it to. Okay. The last thing for a hot second is the HR. Okay. Now, did you know that the HR has 4 borders? Right? It has 4 sides. It looks like a single line, but it absolutely has 4 sides. So let's go border width, actually. Whoops. Let's do it right. Border width of 10 pixels. Okay. And now if I go and look at this into the right browser, please, you'll see that we actually have it. And it's beveled, right? It's beveled by default. So top, bottom, left, right, which is why we get these arrows. But this is the default styles for the HR. And we don't really want that. We want it to be something better, okay? And we only want it to be 1 pixel. If we set 1 pixel, it would be 2 pixels because we'd have a top and a bottom, right? So keep jumping around to the wrong browser, but here we go. We're going to get rid of all the borders. And then once we've done that proper reset, we can set our top to be 1 pixel solid and a color, which is stone 150. Okay, again, I grabbed that from way over here. Actually, I bet you this one already does it. Oh, it's doing something funny. Let's go over here. Grab it just like this. Stone 150. It is 1 pixel. All good. Okay. So we have that. In fact, we're going to use that again. So we might do something else with this. But for the moment, I should be able to save this. Go. Get rid of you for a second. Let's just close out Safari because it keeps bugging me. There we go. Very hard to see on this background, but there it is. In fact, to make this just a little bit easier, I'm going to jump ahead just for a few seconds and go recipe and set the background color to be -- white. Okay. Just so that we can see it a touch better. Nice. Okay. So everything is starting to fall into place, which is really, really cool. Okay. I'm curious why it looks like this paragraph is not getting the right color. Let's go take a quick look. Paragraph, color. Oh no, it's just weirdly contrasted against these two things, but it is the right color. So very curious stuff. Tricking my eyes. It looks darker than this, but it is the same. Okay. So we have these base styles. Now what I want to do is take care of our bullets. Okay. I want to take care of both at once. So the numbers and the dots. And I'm going to jump in with this right here. I'm going to go UL and OL. I'm going to apply all of these styles to the same thing. And then we will add in a little bit of styling for the OL, for the ordered list. Okay. So the first thing is list style none, just like this. That gets rid of all of those. And then down here, we are going to reapply it with our before. Okay. Now, this is very weird to me. I don't know why the highlighting on this is weird. Maybe that changes. No, looks like VS Code is doing something funny to me where it's not changing the highlighting, but this will work. Okay. So we need to use content, and what we're going to do is use counter. Now there is a name. Usually you would have to set up a custom counter name, but with lists we get one by default. It is called list item. Okay. And if you do something, so let's add this in really fast. So disk, okay, and this should just show up over here. Refresh it. You're going to see it jump around, but all of these list items now have a dot in front of them. Kind of hard to see. There it is. Okay. If you change this to be, say, decimal, let's do that really fast. Okay, and refresh it. Excellent. Now, how are we going to get the 1 next to the total? Well, you might think, I'm going to set that up as an LI, and I'm going to display flex this. But as soon as you do this, you remove semantic information, and now it's all zeros. Okay? So you must, if you're doing this, you must set your or leave your list alone. Okay, just leave your list items alone. That's what I'm trying to get at here. So if you want to use list item, you cannot be changing the display of the list item itself. We have to use something different, and what we'll use is float. We'll do a traditional float in a few seconds. But changing this back to disk, just like this, and moving down the page, okay? We have the color. The color is going to be that brown. We're going to fix that in a second. We have a font weight of 700. That could have been a token, but for some reason I don't do tokens for font weight. Maybe I'm just lazy. This can be display block, okay, because it is a pseudo element. It's not the list item, it's just here. But if you change any of the display properties for the list item, this list item counter will stop working on you, okay? So the before display block, that's okay. Here's where we float left, just like this. Brilliant. Whoops, jumping down. Now we should start to see things reposition a little bit. Looking good. And now we need to decide on our spacing, okay? And the spacing is kind of curious here. So if we zoom in and we grab any one of these dots, any of these, okay, you're going to see that it's not just the dot, it's a whole box. And that box is 16 pixels wide, okay? And then if we measure it, we have 16 pixels to the content and 8 pixels in front, okay? If you're doing the math, that is 40 pixels, okay? 16 plus 16 plus 8. So we are going to do the exact same thing. Right here, we're going to set our min width. I'm not sure why I picked min width. I'm pretty sure I could have just gone with width, but the space on this is going to be 200. That's 16 pixels, right? And then our margin inline, sorry, not like that. Margin inline, Emmet doesn't want to complete that for me, is going to be a var of -- space 100. And then on the far side, we are going to do -- space 200, okay? Just like that. Bring it back, refresh it, and now everything is looking pretty okay. There's a problem here though, okay? And you might not see it until you do this. Now, if you're looking at the file and we zoom down to instructions, you'll notice that the content lines up, okay? So this second line is not bumping back against whatever this spacing is. It's in line with this, and we need to figure that out, okay? Instead of this, we need it to be all in a line, okay? We need to have our ducks in a row. So let's go and get that, and we put that in the list item, okay? So right here, we're going to do margin start. Margin inline start. There it is. And this is going to be a little bit weird, right? It's going to be kind of tricky business. So right now we're going to go space 500, okay? Because that's what it is. The 500 is 40 pixels, right? And that's what we decided is this 16 plus 16 plus 8, 40 pixels, just like this. So margin inline start, which pushes everything over. And you might go, well, that's not what I wanted, but we aren't quite done. We need text indent, and this is going to be a calc of this variable times -1. Okay, so we are going to make it a negative number, which is going to back out that first line. And this is how we do it. This is the secret sauce that kind of gets this bullet working the way that we want. Okay, that's a lot. That is a whole lot of stuff, and I feel like it could be better. Okay, for instance, this variable here, I feel like maybe we should probably boost that to here where we can reuse it. So I'm going to use a little trick from Leah Veru again, where she calls these private CSS variables, private custom properties, as dictated by the underscore. So this is going to be our list indent, okay? And then inside of here, we're going to set up a variable called -- list indent, which is the same thing, but without the underscore. And then we're going to put in our space. And this way, if we needed to use this somewhere, we absolutely could. Okay. We could absolutely grab that. This one is used internally. So we go and grab these two things just like this. Excellent. So now if we ever needed to make changes to this, we can do that elsewhere. Okay. Because again, we're operating on the tag level for these selectors. So we want to make it super, super flexible. The other thing that I want is the marker type, because I need to change these instructions back to numbers. Okay. So right here, dash dash underscore marker dash type. Okay. And I'm going to set that to a variable of dash dash marker type or disk. Excellent. Don't forget the semicolon. That will mess you up. Okay. Bring this down, put it right in here, just like this. Save it. Everything should still work. Now it's a number. What did I do wrong? I messed that up. What did I do? That is, in fact, me just being silly because I forgot to wrap this in a var. You would be surprised how many times I forget that. And I hope that you are better than me. So save that, go back. Now we have the dots again, which means that now if we go down here to the OL and we change this to dash dash marker type without the underscore, because it's outside of our little bit of code here, okay, to decimal. Now we should get numbers. We aren't quite there yet though, okay, because where's the dot? Okay, over here we have that dot. In code we don't. So we actually need to do a little bit of tricky business here to get that working. And it looks like this. Go up here, do this one again. Right here, I'm going to grab both of these and change it to suffix, okay? And we're going to set that to an empty string. Now, the cool thing on content is that you can add in as many of these as you want, okay? And it will just join them together, which is pretty awesome. So here's marker suffix, and then we grab the one without the underscore, bring that down, marker suffix of a dot, okay? Don't forget your semicolons. Semicolons basically rule this file. Boom, okay? We don't have it here, but we do have it here, which is really, really cool, okay? And we did that by joining these two pieces of content. They get concatenated together, okay? The last thing that I want to do here, or at least the last thing for the moment, is I want to add in our color, okay? So right here, color, that is a variable of dash dash brown 800, whoops, without the underscore, and then use that in our places. So right here, there. And that's going to allow us to take care of this way up here, this one, when we get there, okay? So we're planning ahead. We're getting that done. Now, there's one little extra thing that I want to put in here, okay? And that is right here, I want to add font variant numeric to normal, okay? Now, for this demo, it doesn't seem to be affecting us. But in the past, I've had it where these numbers on the ordered list, they change. They are a different style than the font, okay? And maybe that was the browser I was using, or maybe because I had the fonts cached differently. I'm not sure, but I've had it go funky where the one actually had a base to it, okay? By setting font variant numeric, that makes sure that whatever we had for this style will match up over here as well, okay? So that's just a little extra bit. If you're finding that your fonts aren't quite the same, it's probably because of this line, okay? Excellent. We can refresh that. Everything is going pretty good. the last thing that I want to do, other than zoom back out, is take care of the table. And then we will be done for today. Okay. Table is a bit of a big one, so let's get right into it. Table. Okay. The table is table layout fixed. Yes. We have border collapse right here of collapse. Absolutely. The width is going to be 100%, and the text align is going to be left. Okay. So that starts to bring everything in line a little bit. We need to flip the bolding on these. Okay. So we can start taking a look at some of those. But right down here, we operate on the TH and the TD. Okay. Sorry, before that, I was talking about the bolding. So let's go take care of that first. TH, which is font weight of 400, and the TD, which is font weight 700, and the TD has a color. So let's go get that too. Dash dash brown. Where are you? Dash dash brown. It's hiding again, but there it is, which makes it a little bit prettier. Okay. Could we have made these the table headings and these the table display, the TD, right? TH and TD. Yeah, I mean, you could have, but it's not semantically correct because these are the headings and these are the details of that heading. So changing it in styles is always going to be better there. Okay. There is some spacing in here, which is what I was going for earlier. So if we scroll down, we have some really big spaces. Come on, bring it up. Spaces in the middle of 16, spaces on the outside of 32. Let's take care of that right here. Okay. So our padding is going to be two things. We have the top, which is 152. I forgot about that. You can't really see that. That's right here. Okay, 12 pixels, 150. So dash dash space 150, and then we go and get that var again. Dash dash space 100, which is half of this space. Will it show again? There. That's half of the space. In case you're wondering. So 100 on this side, 8 on this side, 8 on this side, for a total of 16 pixels. Our 8 measurement is space 100. Okay. Now, if it is the first child, then we want to increase the first space. So padding inline space, start, padding inline start, and we have a var of dash dash space, what is it? It is 32 pixels, which is 4, right? 4 times 8, 32. Excellent. Okay. And then, of course, duplicate all of this, just like this, going last child, going to the end, saving it, and it's looking pretty okay. Okay. Trying to move a little bit fast because we are getting close to the end of this first video, but I do want to pull this out into a variable that's a little bit easier to control. Okay. So way up here in table, I'm going to add dash dash underscore left, right, padding. Okay. And then a variable of dash dash no underscore left, right, padding. And our default variable. Okay. Don't forget the semicolon. And then we use this internally here. Oh, sorry. Here. Okay. Which just gives us that little bit of extra control. Now, there is one extra bit, and that is the table rows. We need to take care of the line and the initial spacing. Because weirdly enough, if you look at this one, there is spacing above and spacing below, okay? But if you look at the first, there's no spacing above, and if you look at the last, there's no spacing below, okay? So we need to take care of both of those as well as that line. Okay. Let's go take care of that way down here on TR. Okay. TR, we need to operate on every second row. Okay. Everything except the first row. Sorry. That's what we're going to do. So right here, we have the border block start, and it's going to be 1 pixel solid and var dash dash stone 100, right? Stone 150. You know what? It's up here under HR. Yes. And because it's exactly the same, I'm going to grab that, move it all the way up, right in here somewhere, and just go dash dash separator. Did I spell it right? Who knows? Doesn't matter. Just like this. So this is a complex token, okay? But now we can grab this, bring it down to our H1, sorry, our HR right here, var, paste it in, and down to our table. Grab this because it's exactly the same, var, paste it in. Excellent. And now that should be all the same. Brilliant, okay? The next thing that we need to do is crush those top and bottom ones. So ampersand first child, ooh, spell it right. First child. Padding block start is 0, okay? And duplicate that, last, end, done. Refresh it all. There it is, okay? This is where we are ending today, okay? So let's go and commit really fast so we can do it. Git add dot, git commit dash m. This is style, add tokens and globals. Okay. Let's review what we did. We started out by downloading the assets and adding our markup. And it took us a while. There's a lot in here. Even though it repeats and repeats and repeats, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. So getting that dialed in is a good thing. Okay. And then we went through and we very quickly added our tokens and then very diligently added our globals. And we have a bunch in here. There's even a media query already, which is pretty cool. Okay. But a lot of these we would have seen before and some not so much. Okay. So for the unordered and ordered list, we need to do a little extra work to make sure that our counters are going to be what we need them to. But we managed to do that. And then we managed to style the table. Okay. We set up our headers and our cells and finished with our rows. And so everything here is really, really solid. We still need to worry about vertical spacing. We still need to worry about the component sitting in the middle of this page as a whole. We still need to worry about responsive styles, okay? Because even though right now this looks pretty okay, we can do better. And we are going to take care of that in the next video. Okay, that's going to be our part 2. So I hope to see you there. If you do have any questions about this video, hit me up in the comments. I'll try to answer them. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Until the next video, I will see you then.